India's back with a big urea tender. Phosphate prices, they're not cooling off like they usually do this time of year. We'll also dig into why U.S. phosphate market is so tight right now, from record low production to key trade rulings shaking things up. Plus, with phosphate-to-grain ratios near historic highs, what's really driving the price? I'm Johanna Bota, and joining us today to delve a bit deeper is StoneX's Vice President of Fertilizer, Josh Linville. Good to have you with us, Josh. Let's start with India, who just announced a big urea purchase tender. How will this impact the global fertilizer market?
Yeah, from the outside looking in, folks might be surprised, and the details of this are quite large. It looks like they're going to be looking for about 1.5 million ton of urea to purchase on this round. Shipment window through the end of July. On the surface, this is shocking. It's massive. It's huge. It's going to be a massive market driver. But we all got to calm down a little bit, because this is something that's been expected since they wrapped up their last purchase tender. They fell a little bit short of their 1.5 million ton tender. And immediately after the details were known of that one, the market started anticipating this one. So this one has happened about the tons that we thought that was going to happen. It has happened in the time frame we thought that was going to happen. So far, no surprises, but it's early. We've seen these things go nonchalant, and all of a sudden you get to the end and there's a surprise. So over the next couple of weeks, as we start getting to where the offers are submitted and the awards start taking place, we got to watch the story very closely, because it's going to go a long way in determining the global path of urea values.
So let's move on to phosphate now, which continues to trend higher with no signs of a summer reset. Has anything changed since we last spoke?
Unfortunately, no. We are still actually waiting for the firm details from China as far as their export program goes. Now, again, for context, for anybody that might be new, when we look at Chinese phosphate exports, we usually see them in the 9 to 10 million ton range. They have been scaling back those exports since early 2022 because of global prices, because of global inventory tightness. Last year, 2024 calendar year, exports were only 6.6 million ton. This year, every sign is indicating that the Chinese government is only going to allow 4 million tons. So China, being the biggest exporter in the world, is scaling back significantly. At the same time, India continues to buy product anywhere from the 730s to the 750 CFR. They continue to prove the prices are high with no real signs of slowing down anytime soon.
What about the U.S. phosphate market? Because they're also facing a dire situation. Prices remain high. Domestic production is near record lows. Now, the U.S. still has tariffs or duties in place on major suppliers like Morocco, China, Russia, and Saudi. But now we have the U.S. Court of International Trade weighing in on these tariffs, calling them illegal. So how is this ruling expected to impact the market?
Yeah, this is the problem with phosphate. When you look at nitrogen, it is produced all over the place. There are so many manufacturers. There's so many countries. Phosphate comes down to 5 countries. And to your point, it's China, Morocco, Russia, Saudi Arabia, and the number 5 is the U.S. So as we've looked at it, Russia and Morocco, the U.S. has placed countervailing duties against those 2 countries with no signs that that rate is going to be removed anytime soon. That has been a benchmark. That has been a hurdle that they've been unwilling to jump to send product to the U.S. So we've blocked those 2 from coming. China has had a tariff on place since the first Trump administration. We don't expect that that one will change. The one that we're watching very, very closely is Saudi Arabia, because again, to your point, we thought there was tariffs in place. And now the high court has said, no, that's illegal. But is that going to hold? Is another judge going to come in and say, nope, that's wrong. It's legal because of X, Y, Z. And that continues to add uncertainty to the marketplace, which is, of course, supporting values.
And lastly, the phosphate-to-grain ratios are near record highs, actually second highest in history for the markets, to be precise. But can you walk us through what's driving up current pricing dynamics and how the supply and demand balance is being managed in this environment?
Yeah, when you look at the end of our spring season, and for phosphate, that spring season is complete. All that application is complete. So typically what we would see is that as we move into the summertime, prices start to fall. We see that typical summer reset, which is a good time to start jumping in. This year, because of the Chinese situation, because of the India situation, because of the uncertainty around all the tariffs, we're not seeing a reset. In fact, we've actually had NOLA, New Orleans, Louisiana barges, $50 a ton higher since the conclusion of spring application. Again, when the world doesn't reset, there's very little reason for the U.S. price to reset, for North America prices to reset. And when we look at the high price of phosphate and we look at it versus all the grains that are out there, which let's face it, any farmer in the world's going to tell you these are not phenomenal prices. That ratio between the two of them, it's the second highest we've ever seen. The only time it's been worse was 2008. And I dare say 2008 was better because the farmer, at least from a corn perspective, corn prices were $6, $7, $8 a bushel. Today, $4.50.
Wow. All right. Well, thank you, Josh, for all your insight. And thank you for watching. For more financial content like this, please like and subscribe to our channel.